Aries was never the most beloved god on Olympus. He was simply the one who moved when everyone else was still talking. He does not ask for permission. It asks for courage. He does not ask for negotiate first. It acts first. Very bold. And the apology, if it is come at all, Aries doesn't like to apologize, it comes later. So Mars is home and home is on fire. Welcome back to Lunar Grace, guys. I am your co-pilot, Christina. I am obsessed, genuinely obsessed with Arabic lots and asteroids and fixed stars. And I regularly bring numerology and remedies into the work. I love quotes. I'm queen of the quotes, and you will hear them throughout. And lately, I have become completely hyper focused on forensic and investigative astrology. The astrology of real events, real power structure, what is actually happening then at the surface and in the world. So, yes, I am obsessed with history and politics as well. If you're new to here, if you're new to my channel, subscribe, please, especially if you love the truth and can handle actually radical honesty. Every video has multiple layers. We talk about geopolitical and financial and also personal astrology as well. Timestamps going to drop 2-3 hours after the premiere. So if geopolitics is not what you like or not your thing, you can actually skip it directly to the personal, to the 12 signs, if that's what interested you. I also love mythology, and you're going to actually hear some kind of mythological story so we can learn together. And if you want to actually skip the beginning and you don't want to learn just listening your 12 signs, there is no judgment at all. But for those of you who stays for the full pictures, I see you guys and I love you. I see your comments and thank you so much. All right. Please engage, write something, write a comment, tell me your rising sign, tell me your experience, and write as soon as you can, because that's actually when algorithm going to recognize me and help me. And please be nice to me. I am a human being who loves this work and shows up for you guys, and I'm fully here with full-hearted. And one more thing I want to say over here, because this is really, really important. I'm going back to the algorithm again. Please share my videos, share it on other astrology sites as well, and hype them up for me. And as I said, because I'm telling the truth, algorithm usually censors me. So I just want to help and I just want to reach more people. And guys, I decided to keep going. I woke up with one of my favorite song in my mind, and that is actually one of the reggae brand, which is Chronics, who says, "Do it for the love, don't do it for the like. Success don't come overnight." So you know what? I'm here, guys. I'm showing up because I'm truly, truly obsessed with astrology and I love, and eventually time going to prove me right. Always, that's what I realize. And welcome back. Thank you so much. So today we're going to actually talk about the transit of Mars, the warrior, right? And it's going home. The warrior comes home and it's going to go to Aries right now. All right, just a second here. So I wanted to actually show that on the background for you guys, Mars transit in April and Mars is going and to Aries, it's going home, the warrior going home. And actually it creates a huge stellium in Aries in a cardinal fire sign, the first house of the zodiacal cycle. So that is very, very important. So we were going to talk about Mars and we're going to talk about, its conjunction with multiple uh, planets as well during this 5 week journey. And also we're going to talk about, a little bit of mythology over here. So let's start with mythology. So Mars, which is Aries in Greek, it's a god of war. But the real story, the one they don't tell you in the introductory mythology classes, is that he was never entirely respected on Olympus. And you know why? Because Zeus just tolerated him. Aphrodite actually desired him, right? And the other gods mostly found him impulsive and reckless and embarrassing in the way that only someone who is genuinely dangerous can be embarrassing. Pallas Athena, the goddess of strategic warfare, of wisdom applied to conflict, once defeated him in a battle simply by being smarter than he was. So she did not hit harder, she just thought better, and Aries, bleeding and furious, went home to lick his wounds and crying and waited for the next fight, right? So Aries fought for the thrill of fighting, not for justice like Athena, Pallas Athena. He did not have strategy. That's why the outcome was he was defeated. He has actually fire in his blood when he battles and when battles began. He is the kind of warrior who goes forward all the time, and he doesn't really flee. He wins or dies. That's the energy about Aries. So very, very bold energy, very dangerous energy most of the time. Uh, but very alive energy as well. And Mars rules Aries, right? So these two are the same essence. One is the planet and the one is the sign itself. And they meet when Mars comes home. There is like very, very strong, pure, even dangerous, aggressive strikes. And it's very combative. It does not justify actually. It strikes and it's tempting. And it's also, how it shows up in the collective. It's the primer move for the collective nervous system. It's something old and unreasonable and necessary, right? So think about the way the world has been moving in recent months, right? Just think about the war, the Iran war and Venezuela and, all the crap that's going on right now and happening. Governments posturing with military displays framed as defensive necessity. And that is usually Israel, who is always claiming they need to defend themselves and hit first, right? So that's what's happening right now. And then tariff also, and the tariff wars, Cold Wars, are dressed up in a language of patriotism and economic sovereignty. The rhetoric of dominance is entering spaces like commercial and cultural, where it once was considered impolite. That is Mars approaching its home. And it's ended Pisces, and in Pisces actually it was blurred and foggy and really confused. The Our instinct was confused and we were softened as well. But April 9th, when it's going to enter Aries, everything is changing, right? Because as I said, Aries is not going to compromise and it's not negotiating. As I said, it will act first and, doesn't even matter. Later on, it deals with the consequences, doesn't even care for the consequences, really. So that's what's happening right now with the war when the US actually bombed the school in Iran, right, and killed so many little girls. They didn't think of consequences. So yeah, that's what's happening right now. And what else is going to happen? So on April 9th and in the days immediately following, except some kind of leaders already lagged in disputes to make bold and possible rushy moves as well. Uh, So the border tension that have been actually simmering, the nationalist movements building momentums in elections across Europe and Asia, and also in America because of, we have military building up, and we do have a lot of election in Eastern Europe, and April, March is really, like massive protests, and also, yeah, so that's what's gonna happen right now. The other thing, what's happening also, Mars rules steel and iron and weaponry and weapons and the industries that produce them. So Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and, Northrop Grumman and Rheinmetall also, these are actually the ones that you're going to see them actually growing during this time because Mars is home and Mars going to conjunct Neptune and Saturn as well. So yes, those are definitely going to on the market bring some kind of increase. Energy market feel it differently because Mars in Aries rules combustion and aggression and the threat of resource disruption. And right now, because we know the canal by Iran is black, but they didn't black it for everyone, guys, because obviously they just let through France and multiple countries, both, like at this moment when I was watching the news, uh, but definitely it could bring in some kind of market disruption in energy. That's why the oil is going up like crazy, and Mars is going to conjunct with Neptune, which rules natural gas and oil. So we can see that right now. So actually, the oil does not need an actual supply cut to spike under this energy. It needs the credible possibility of one. A naval standoff in a shipping lane, an airstrike near an oil field, and we did have that many times right now, right? A leader saying something that sounds like a threat, and then it could actually, the oil stock go crazy. And you have seen probably what Trump said yesterday night, and he was like saying like, "Okay, we're going to take back Iran to Stone Age," and then I was reading, and really, I love Persia, and I like the art over there and their culture, and most of the educators and smart people came from those areas, right? Because of the were the elites who had knowledge, and for example, Rumi as well. But to saying that with a country who has only a 250 years, existence, America, and it is just because of the United States, because of conquered, the Native American Aries, and I was like infuriated because Persia actually have a 6,000 years of history over there, and America has a 250 years, and he wants to take them back to Stone Age. I was like, oh my God, what is he even talking about at this moment, guys? And I'm sorry about that. That's why I said maybe you are not to my channel, but at this moment, who's still actually supporting Trump? I truly believe those person are either, like really uneducated. I don't want to say imbecile, but very uneducated or must be evil rotten in the core. Because at this moment, when we have so much knowledge about the Epstein fire, right? And we know he is a pedophile, he's a warmonger, he's a liar. And before I voted actually, because I didn't vote for him, but I didn't vote for Kamala either. But I always check both of them opponent, and you also have to know the wings are belong from the same bird, right? So that's what it is, that's what politics, and that's why they want to actually hate each others and segregate us, and by religion, by colors, by whatever political parties, whatever it is, but they really, really want us to get segregated because if we actually hold each other's hand together, we get stronger. And who is the strongest? We can actually win over the evil. But if we are not actually see the big pictures and we hate each other, so obviously they can win over us. So that's the point over here. And it's a long, uh, trying to lead us and trying to uh, what is that? Segregate us. That was not just happened yesterday, it's happened like hundreds of years ago. All right, guys. And then what else I wanted to say? The in civil society, the dimension that tends to get the least analytical attention is actually financial astrology, because not everybody is there to say about finances. It's very hard actually to get the IPO, ICO of each individual signs, and to do predict increase and decrease of the market, for example. But as I said, Mars in what is that, in Aries, definitely going to help with the industries, which is weapons or steel or iron. That's for sure. All right. And also Mars, rules the first house. And the first house is your physical body. And on mundane level, that's the nation as well. And the public space, for example, as well. So it's saying those spaces, streets and squares and public spaces going to be filled with people, because it's going to actually conjunct Neptune, and also we're gonna have a new moon in Aries, but I'm gonna make a new video about that. And also we're going to have Saturn, Mercury, and Mars conjunction as well. So say the truth, be on the street, don't allow them to censor you, don't allow them to take your First Amendment and freedom of speech. So people going to be on the street fighting for our liberty, for our democracy. And you will see that actually Mars transit in April, very, very bold. Uh, okay, and the other thing is, but we have to talk about as well. Let me see what else I have to talk about here, what comes in my mind. Yes, so on personal level, you might have been overthinking, maybe a business decisions, or because Mars was in Pisces, so you didn't act, you didn't dare to take any kind of actions. But right now you will feel like you have enough courage and you have the right information and you are totally powered up, you are amped up, and you have good instincts, and you are, it's like an awakening. You're waking up from your sleepwalking and you are like, all right, let's do something over here, because without acting, if I just talk about that, nothing going to happen. So definitely on personal level, because we're going to have a lot more energies right now, it will give us courage, and we're gonna become very, very bold, not going to be the passive inhabitant, like when Mars was in Pisces. We're going to be the active one with the spark and with not necessarily with strategy, because that's most likely Pallas Athene, not Aries, definitely. But at least we have the fire inside and we are willing to go. And on April 13th, what I wanted to talk about, it's when Mars going to conjunct Neptune in Aries, and it's going to be between 2 and 3 degrees. So the sacred warrior meets the shadow priest because of, let's see, Neptune. Neptune is the actually Poseidon. It's the god of the ocean, right, in mythology. And Aries and Poseidon actually both were Zeus' child, right? But they could not be more different in their essential nature, because Aries is flesh and blood and fury, He's what happens when the body decides before the mind has a chance to weigh in. But Poseidon rules what is beneath the surface of things, the ocean, the unconscious, the subconscious, the depth that has no light of the bottom. I don't know if you guys are diving, I do, and it is sometimes at the beginning when the sun still comes through the ocean, it is so peaceful and beautiful. But when you are going deeper and deeper, the unconscious, it could be very threatening. Even when you are, like you translate that for your own self, even going deeply inside within you and recognizing your thoughts and your subconscious and why do you do things, it could be very scary. So, the sea itself doesn't lie, right? But it could be foggy, it could be very deep, and not necessarily calm because sometimes storm is coming, and as I said, it could be the depth itself could be really scary, and Poseidon could be also very angry sometimes in mythology, you know that. So when these two going to actually two kind of archetype going to merge because of they going to conjunct right together the soldier uh, and the soldier has to charge into the fog, right? Because Neptune is fog, right? And it could become a holy war. And I was talking about that many times, even with Saturn Neptune conjunction, guys, holy war is coming. Holy war, and I'm not saying that it's gonna be holy, but it's gonna be religious war, and that's what's happening right now. You can see how Israelis react. Everything is about religion, everything is about Judaism, and they are actually creating a religious war against each other. But I also wanted you guys to go and check and watch the mythology of like how did even the Torah and the Bible and the Quran, all three books, but the very beginning, how from Abraham, how did they become the 12 Muslim and the 12 Jews tribe? It is amazing, and then you're going to understand what's going on right now. Okay, so that's very, very important. All right, but what I wanted to say, because I always go side and then I don't know what was my original thoughts. Oh, yes, we were talking about Poseidon and Aries, and yes, so okay, so both of them is Zeus, sons as well. Okay, uh, but what I wanted to say over here, so that could be war, but the war it's actually looks like holy, but really deeply inside, it's violence, right? And and also, yeah, we will see actually with Neptune over here some hope because it's a spiritual warrior together, and Neptune also compassion and understanding the orphans, the veterans, the underprivileged, the people who is actually suppressed and put. And Neptune also actually social democracy as well, guys. So it could indicate like many countries going to actually have, and go and somehow uh, have new strategy, new political ideology, which could be democratic warfare or social democracy as well. So you will see that. And you know why? Because capitalism, as it is at this moment, it is toxic. It's overproducing. It's leaves huge gap between people. And I'm not saying I'm a socialist and stop it. Stop it over there if you think that. But if you ever have read the Walsh, near Walsh conversation of God, he was talking about, and actually he had vision. He was a professor, then he became homeless, and then he wrote a book. He downloaded a book, and that's why he said he was converse with God, communicate with God, and God actually told him all the message over there. And yes, he indeed said the golden age, it's coming, and I truly believe after 2031, we're going to enter a peaceful period, but until then, it could be very difficult. However, he said, social democracy or democratic welfare is the way to go. Why? Because each country still could progress. So there is opportunity actually for capitalism and free. How do you call that? I forget that word. Oh my God, Merton should be here. Okay, so when you can sell and buy and it has a free way to do that, but it's not toxic because it's always taking care of the elder, the sick, the ill, the children, which we should, and that is the democratic welfare. So yes, that's what it is. And right now, Mars with Neptune conjunct could actually indicate some kind of negotiation about that, some kind of negotiation of, we need to take care of the underprivileged, the orphans. Neptune is compassion. Let's give food for the affected areas where we withdraw or help, for example. So we're going to be actually more aggressive about that. Yes. So, what else? Um, Definitely very unfiltered because it's happening in Aries and it's happening with Mars. And it's like a bold ignition for sure, very reactive right now. So careful with even when you talk to people or try to help others because of you might going to say the wrong word and they're not going to take your help. So careful a little bit over here when you are becoming your own spiritual warrior because of you can be very pushy and people going to to reject your help, for example. All right, let's talk about fixed stars over here. And let's talk about first the constellation of Pegasus to understand the fixed stars and the story in 1 degree, 2 degree, but is that Aries and also the 14, 15 degrees as well, right? Because that's where the conjunction going to happen. 2 degrees going to Neptune and Mars, and when Neptune travels forward, it's going to conjunct Mercury and Saturn at 14 degrees 23 minutes, which is, midpoint of Aries as well. So we're going to talk about that. So yes, Pegasus is not a declaration in the sky. Pegasus is one of the most mythologically loaded constellation in the entire zodiac belt. And its story begins exactly where you would expect the story of winged horse born from violence to begin, in blood. Okay, Perseus killed Medusa, Algol, the Gorgon with serpents for hair, the one whose gaze turned men to stones. And when Medusa's head was served, from the wound, from the blood that fell into the sea foam where Poseidon had once coupled with her, Pegasus was born, a winged whore, white, fully formed, already capable of flight. And then, after that, this thing that gave Perseus the power to transcend the ordinary world and move through divine realms, the vehicle of elevation was born from the wound, was born from the death of the thing that paralyzed everyone else, was born from the act of facing what is most terrifying and refusing to look away. Pegasus is trauma transformed into transcendence. Pegasus is what becomes possible on the other side of the thing you were certain would destroy you. And Ptolemy actually wrote that Pegasus gives ambition, intuition, enthusiasm, and also alongside, it's very changeable as well. And the changeability of someone who is moved by inspiration rather than routine, because that is the other side of riding a winged horse. You are not steering a car, you are in a relationship with something that has its own intelligence and its own destination as well. And your job is to hold on tight, to trust that the landing will be worth and, That's what it is, Pegasus over here. Some of the medieval astrologers added the following note. Pegasus actually pretends, you know, vain individuals with great ambitions and poor judgment. The person is so in love with the sensation of fight that they stop checking the terrain below. The one elevated so fast and so high that they forget the ground still exists and still has rules. That's happening right now, right? That's what we are seeing with the wars. This is the constellation holding Mars and Neptune on April 13th, actually, the warrior in the sky of the winged horse, the action planet in the constellation of elevation through trauma of spiritual power accessed through the wound. All right, my loves. When you feel the pull on this day calling, you know, just know what is the cost. Careful, really careful, because of in this, because Pegasus actually, goes so high and, has very poor judgment and very big ambition, it could get hurt. So you will see some of the leaders actually who initiating war, they're going to fall under, because that's what Pegasus representing over here. And the fixed star we are talking about in this Pegasus constellation, so you know the story right now behind Pegasus, the winged whore, right? The wing, not whore, but horse, I'm sorry. But the fixed star is actually Kerb, and Kerb has Venus nature, right? So Kerb sits in the constellation of Pegasus, and approximately it's 2-3 degrees in Aries, right? Right now at this moment. And it is actually Venus's nature. So it's, because Venusian in nature, it doesn't have indirect danger, right? Uh, so it's not a direct threat, not an obvious enemy, not the thing that comes at you with its name. And but it could be an indirect danger, the kind that arrives through the door of something you love and want and have been reaching toward, right? The dangers that wears the face of the answer of your longing. So this is actually, you will see some of the people, or maybe you and family members, you know, you are helping to someone, but because of the people you help, you love incredibly, and you have a lot of affection toward, or it could be your child, but somehow they pulling you into danger indirectly, right? Because mama, I need money for this and this, and maybe they gambling, maybe they use it on drugs, and somehow you're going to go in debts because of them, right? So that could happen with that Venusian energy as well over here. So, the classification of this star, it's A5, which is the fixed star tradition indicates of Venus planetary nature. So Venus rules desire, beauty, attraction, and pull toward union and aesthetic sense that tells you something is right before your reasoning mind has had a chance to examine it. So Venus rules stars grant real gifts when well configured. So artistic recognition, unexpected financial gain, social grace, the kind of personal magnetism that opens doors without effort. Kerb, at its highest expression, is the artist whose work reaches people in ways they cannot actually explain. So the practitioner whose clients feel held before they have said a single word, because of the love, the person who walks into a room and something just shifts. But Venus nature stars carry a specific vulnerable that pure Mars stars, pure Saturn stars do not, okay? So they make desire feel like truth, and they make attraction feel like alignment. They make the thing that is beautiful feel like the thing that is right. And beauty and rightness are not the same things, especially under Neptunian folks, because of, that's what's happening. It's Neptune and Mars together on a fixed star, which is Venus. in nature. It's an A5 star. So when Mars and Neptune conjoin on Kerb in Aries, which is exactly what happens right now, April 13, the pattern that emerges is action driven by desire, executed under illusion. In a domain ruled by longing and beauty, the warrior is running. The fog is total. The star that marks his path makes the wrong decision feel gorgeous. In love, if you are in love, for example, this is the person who feels like home on the first night and who you trust completely by the second week, who you have built an entire, life together right now. And the danger is not that they are bad. The danger is actually that you fell in love with a version of them that was partially yours, the projection of what you most needed. And that's the Neptunian fog over here. So yes, the Neptune over here simply going to remove boundaries, and that could be also very dangerous. In finances, this is the investment that feels aligned and that resonate with your heart, and you dreamt about it, and you think it has huge values, and you listen to your intuition. And your intuition, when your body feels something in the stomach, yes, I have to invest over here, yes, I have to go gamble tonight. But but on the other hand is uh, there is Neptune, and it could be very, very foggy, and Mars, which is like, okay, I made the decision too early and I put myself in debt, for example. Yes, Kerb was there, so it made me to desire something. It wanted me to be successful or reach overnight, and that's what I started with that chronics. Actually quote, guys, because success doesn't come overnight. You cannot, some of you, yeah, can win the lottery, but usually 99.99% of humanity won't. So it does not come overnight. And that could be the Neptunian fog over here. Kerb going to make it really adorable and beautiful, and, present it with creativity and that kind of uh, amazing opportunity, but the opportunity not necessarily that amazing. Okay, so the other thing, what is Kerb's influence over here, great honors and artistic appreciation, good fortune, and also creativity and idealism as well, right? So, but also it could bring in actually scandals and destructiveness as well. Especially in art world, in Hollywood could actually suffer right now during this April, during this Mars transit. I see Hollywood, or maybe we're going to see a lot more people coming out from the Epstein fire. Like Iran already hacked Cash Patel, which was hilarious for me, but I'm going to show. I'm gonna come up with an investigative astrology. I predicted Gnome, Christy Gnome, and Pam Bondi. And right now I predict actually Tuesday and Kennedy also has to resign. They're gonna get fired, and I'm gonna tell you guys later on why. Of course, it's all connected with Israel, and it's all connected with Baal and the whole entire Iranian war and taking over. But remember, guys, every single empire was over after 250 years. America's 250 is coming up, so that's like the empire is falling. And I told you the everything moving to the east from the west. The Western empires are done right now. Mm. All right, let's talk a little bit about, Neptune as a oil and gas as well, because that's what it is, right? And Mars conjunct over here with Kerb. So the oil markets actually is going to show a change as well. And you already have seen actually, like the oil prices went up. The one barrel cost like $110. It could go up to 150 actually. Uh, that's why they want boots on the ground. And when oil goes up, Gold also going to go up because of paper money and fiat currency is down as well. And you also have to know every single empire before it's ended, they had a huge military operation. So what America and Israel does right now, they all the way in, they want to take over and conquer the whole entire world. Yes, not American, not Israeli people maybe, but definitely not all American, like 70% of them hates what's happening. But that's the truth is. So yes, right before something is collapsing, yes, they are full into with like with military operations as well. All right. So, but yes, Neptune is oil, right? And Neptune is the planet of dissolution. But Neptune also rules the oil, rules the liquid from the depth. The black gold. For example, we call that black gold as well. Uh, so, there is going to be a lot of fear, geopolitical, obviously, because of the war as well. So that's what's going to create, you know, uh, for example, not only disruption, like you're not going to have oil in some countries coming through, or it's very, very funny because 20% of the oil is coming through Hormuz, but otherwise Canada has oil, America has oil. America just removed Maduro and they have like, oh my God, a lot of oil, maybe even 60% of the whole entire world's, and it's very thick, so it's a lot. And they took over, and obviously Mexico has oil. That's why Trump wants to take over Mexico, Cuba, Canada, Greenland, whoever. By the way, when we went to see the Northern Lights, guys, and we went Norway for a week, and we have seen the Northern Lights the first time, so I'm so blessed, and that was one of my bucket list, and it was beautiful. But we have seen so many soldiers and so many tanks on the street when we went to see the glaciers drive up. Uh, and Germans and Norwegians and French legions. So it was very weird. And then, of course, I was talking to locals over there, and from Denmark they were coming because of they are going eventually to Greenland to protect Greenland from America. So yes, that was already, people and soldiers are in actions and make sure they are, like going to protect their countries as well. So yes, that's what's happening right now. But the oil itself, like either usually we are going for oil or gold or rare earth minerals. I mean, America, not we, America. But that's actually could actually expand. But whenever oil goes up like this, dollar is crap, it's done. Okay, and the American dollar has a Saturn return. I told you guys last year it's already inflated 12%. And let me see just a second. I'm gonna also check on my phone if it's inflated any further, but I'm sure uh, it did. Dollar inflation. Sorry about that. From Trump's inauguration. Okay, let me see if it's going to give me 12%, but it went an additional free to 2.5% from January right now. Okay, so it's about 14%. So it's getting crappy. It's terrible because of we all have dollars and yeah, it's terrible. So that's why I always tell you guys, gold, silver. I keep saying that from 2018 now, but believe me, gold, silver, rare earth mineral, lithium, uranium, graphite, because that's also 52% of batteries, right? Lithium is 48%, but the graphite is 52%. So niobium, rare earth mineral, steel, it's very, very important. Okay, so as I said. The other thing that we have to talk about pharmaceuticals over here because of, the biotech market and pharmaceuticals. Neptune is pharmaceuticals. It's the big pharma. Mars is over there. We might go into actually Neptune also prisons as well. We might going to see actually some kind of big pharma guys going to prison, or it could be again somebody is killed who is not dealer, but who is that drug cartel member again. Like it happened in Mexico. I told you guys it's gonna be a huge protest. So right now we can see again someone else, a drug cartel member again killed as well, or go to jail. That could happen. Possibly. But something to do with pharmaceuticals. So Venus makes something. Venus like Kerb can make something very appealing. So maybe they're going to come up with a drug, maybe some kind of cancer drug or something like that. But actually, it's gonna have a side effect, and they're going to try to hide the side effects at the beginning, but it's gonna come out and it's going to be surfacing with Mars over there. It could be also like because of its Venus, like something to do with like maybe that it's going to be a huge demands on for example for drugs like diabetes drugs as well, or we will see a surge in diabetes in some countries, but also it could be something like protect the vulnerable as well. So yeah, that's gonna happen during this time. And on the world stage for historically correlated with military action, anything to do with Mars, Neptune, or Mars, Saturn is always military action. And Neptune is FBI intelligence. Oh, by the way, yes, it could be something to do with Mossad, FBI, CIA, the British intelligence, Indian intelligence, whatever it is. But you're going to see, like Neptune also could be propaganda as well. So something going to be fabricated, but then it comes to the surface, right? And then they won't be able to, if you see what's happening, you won't be able to not see anymore. So they're coming out with a propaganda like, okay, we need to go to holy war, and people are like, no, we are not going to war for anyone kind of situation. So you can see more peace protest as well, not just, because they're gonna want to fabricate some kind of illusion, delusion. But as I said, something to do with FBI, CIA, the truth is coming. They're gonna dig deep and the truth is coming out. Mars is drilling as well. So Mars also rules Scorpio. Scorpio is investigative, right? So that is the other sign. So definitely it could be something like the truth coming out. When they hacked Cash Patel, they can hack everything else. And, then we're going to see the truth over there. All right. Then we're gonna talk about a little bit of, Mercury conjunct Saturn, not a little bit, and Mercury conjunct also Mars in Aries. And this is a triple conjunction. It is very, very rare, and it's happening in 14 degrees, 23 minutes, right? We also have to talk a little bit of the Sabian symbol over here. And the Sabian symbol is the Indian waving a blanket in Aries 15 degrees because you always have to round up. And the image that has been assigned to this precise degree, like that is the Indian who is waving blanket. It's not a factory, it's not a machine. It's not a mass production. It is one single human being sitting before a loom, and pulling thread through thread with deliberate hands, creating something that will keep another person warm, right? So I want you to understand something over here, and I want you to understand what this image actually is beneath the surface, right? Because it's not only, a sense about crafts. It's not only, like some kind of traditional culture as well, because it's an indigenous culture, right? But it is also something about consciousness because someone is sitting there and deliberately, creating something which going to help others, right? And actually, Dane Rudhyar, who was the father of modern Sabian symbol interpretation, the man who took these images and returned them to their deepest symbolic way, called this degree the degree of cosmic consciousness. He wrote about what mystics across traditions have called the seamless robe, the idea that an awakened being, someone who has actually reached the genuine realization of their own nature, is said to be robed in the universe, not clothed by the universe, robed by it, woven into it, right? So that is what it is very important. And what is this robe? What is this blanket actually? It's covering, it's protection. It is something that holds you inside itself and keeps what is outside from reaching you with full cold. So the image at the Aries 15 is this. The moment a human being realizes they are not the one being woven, they are the one doing the weaving. They are the loom, the thread, the hand, the pattern, all at once. They are not actually separate from the intelligence that construct reality. They are a localized expression of it, sitting in the intersection of will and materia, making something that did not exist before. This is what the mystic meant when they said, as above, so below. You are not separate from the sky, from the cosmos that made you. You are actually a smaller expression of the same intelligence that spins the galaxies and organizes your DNA and pulls the tide. And every choice you make, every relationship you invest in, every risk you take, everything you walk away from, every word you speak or refuse to speak is a thread. And those threads form a pattern, and that pattern is your life, guys. So the terrifying beauty of this symbol is what it implies. You have always been weaving. In the years you threw, you were simply surviving, you were weaving. In the relationship that felt like they happened to you, you were weaving. In the decision that felt like there was no choice, you were weaving. Thread by thread, pattern by pattern. Whatever you were conscious of the design or not, the loom never stopped, guys. Never. So yes, Aries 15 says, what changes now is awareness. What changes now is that you pick up the thread and you look at it and you decide consciously, deliberately, with full knowledge that this thread will affect every thread around you. Okay? So that's very, very important. I always tell you, I'm your co-pilot and you are the pilot. Never give away your power. Always actually be conscious about your surrounding, do a decision. That's why I tell you guys also, my videos is for people who can handle the truth, who can handle radical honesty and not putting their head actually in the sand, right? Because of its awakening many, many times. And I do believe when you know your enemies, when you know what is ahead, then you're actually capable to win it over or tackle the challenges. Yeah, so that's very, very important, my loves. All right. So yes, it is also, it's very important the weaver, us, is deciding, and the decision made consciously, right? And we realizing actually we are just a second, I have to stop because I need to drink. Sorry about that, guys. I was coughing because since we returned from Norway, it was over a week already. But I told you guys my soul got frozen in that cold because I'm from Florida, and obviously my blood got thin, so everything is really cold for me, and I just can't get over with this kind of dry throat and coughing. So yes, so I'm going back actually right now because I have to try to hurry up because the boys are ready to paint the eggs. I love the fact my sons are Tauruses, and it's sextile with my son, and my husband also a Taurus rising, so they all waiting me to do our Eastern tradition and paint eggs, and who going to have the most beautiful egg paint. So I love that. I love to do that, and I have to get ready also for tomorrow brunch. I'm hosting a brunch for a lot of people. So I have to start to do my traditional Hungarian food to start to make it, and they love it. All right, so I'm going back actually, and I want to talk about that right now, and other fixed star over here, and actually another constellation as well. And the 15 degrees of fixed star over here. So uh, and that is the constellation between the constellation of Pegasus and Andromeda. So you already know the mythology behind Perseus, right? And what's happened over there. Like who did the Pegasus was born. Uh, so um, then we have to talk a little bit about, the flying on Pegasus, and Perseus came to the coast of Ethiopia, and there, chained to the rock above the sea, he found Andromeda, a princess, a woman of extraordinary beauty, chained by her own people as a sacrifice to Cetus, the sea monster, because her mother actually had committed the sin of boasting. She had declared that her daughter was actually more beautiful than the Nereids, the sea nymphs. And Poseidon, Neptune, in his wrath at this uh, transgression, had demanded Andromeda as payment. So she had done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong, okay? She was just way too beautiful, and that's why she was offered up by those who loved her, because they were afraid and could not think of another way. Okay, so then Perseus saw her, right, and fall in love immediately. And that is also under the Pegasus energy and the fixed star Kerbs, the Venus influence over here. We understand this, right? It's a classic signature of this constellation zone, love. So he negotiated with her parents, and he waited at the rock. When Cetus actually rose from the sea, Perseus used Medusa and Medusa's severed head to turn the monster to stone, because Medusa's head still could make and turn everybody to become a stone. All right, so and then he freed actually Andromeda, and she became his queen. So this is the mythology actually encoded in the degree where Mercury, Saturn, and Mars go into conjunct on April 20th. The hero carrying the tools of his previous initiations, the wing scandals, the mirrored shield, the monster's head, the experience of Pegasus, all going to arrive at the moment of maximum consequences, not for himself alone, but for the woman who has been actually waiting for someone to see the situation clearly and act from the clarity, right? All right, so the fixed star, actually, what sits at Andromeda's head, it's Alpheratz, which is freedom. It is actually the moment that's going to break chains. So, because of, it's not because of, mm, yes, I forget again what I wanted to say, but I'm going to talk about actually Alpheratz over here because of, I want to, Ptolemy said it is Jupiter and Venus in nature. So actually it's intelligence and beauty at once, right? Because Jupiter is knowledge. So it's a double star. It's white and purplish as well. and it's sitting between Andromeda and Pegasus, right? So it was claimed by both constellation as well. So it is a B8 and an A3 stars together. So does have primarily Jupiterian quality, but secondary nature is Venusian quality. So Jupiter natured stars are stars of expansion, honor, abundance, good fortune, and bored intellectual grace as well. The way the mind capable to actually hold information. Jupiter gives riches and also a deeper perspective as well, deeper knowledge as well. Uh, and the other one is the traditional keywords actually for Alpheratz are independence and freedom because it's Jupiter in nature, but also honor and intellect, and also cheerfulness as well, wealth, and good judgment. But because of its Venusian in nature as well, there is beauty and also love coming into this picture. But the shadow of this fixed stars, because all stars, as above so below, all fixed stars also going to carry some kind of shadow as well, right? So the same star that gives keen intellect and good judgment also in a challenging configuration as well, because uh, the native maybe will be too outspoken and because of that self-destructive as well, arrogance, for example. It could give sometimes some kind of disgraceful nature as well, maybe harboring wrong thoughts or capable of violence. But usually those are the violence which is intellectual. It is like the white collar criminals, because of arrogance and ignorance as well. So yes, when Mercury and Saturn and Mars go into conjunct actually on Alpheratz in Aries, you have the mind of the hero at the moment of maximum power and maximum risk. The sharpest thinking you have had all month, delivered at the speed with Mars. And then you are making sure you have structure as well because of Saturn is over there. So you don't want to be just impressed by this fixed star, and with Mars, you want to have Saturnian responsibility and reliability as well. So definitely the opportunity that comes during this triple conjunction could become extraordinary for all of us. There is a lot of risk taking, as well. And sometimes the low expression of this configuration is not necessarily courage, but it could be something with overreaching, for example, or like talking not at the right moment and telling and talking about like selling out someone, for example. It could happen as well. Yes, so Andromeda was freed by someone who stopped and looked and who did not react to the to her beauty actually, but who saw the situation, the horror of her situation, and he managed that. So yes, right now, what we're going to see, for example, it could get implemented like people are seeing what's going on behind the war, the Iranian, Gaza, Yemen, in Africa, what's going on. And people are going to start to free others, For example, right now, I was reading about a gentleman in Sweden who was a billionaire and giving actually billions of dollars to rebuild 125 schools and hospitals for Gaza, to people in Gaza. And then the Swedish government also give a few $1 billion to this project, and they are helping. So that's what's going to happen. People going to stop and see not the illusion, Venetian illusion, but what is going on under the surface, and going to rescue others, right? So that's very, very important. Yes. What else I wanted to see and wanted to say over here? Well, I don't know if we talked about actually. Yeah. Mm, okay. So let's talk about a little bit of, Saturn and Mercury in nature. So Hermes and Kronos, and also Aries as well. I'm gonna go back a little bit for Aries as well, because this conjunction is very important when we understand the collective and your own 12 signs, So Hermes was Mercury, is the messenger of God, who was actually going between the Olympians, God, and also moved to the underworld as well, right? So, uh, he could live between two worlds actually. He crossed boundaries that were absolute for, everyone to keep boundaries. And he carried the authority of Zeus' word, which suppressed, and every borders, for example, and he did not take sides at all, but he carried the message all the time. And he's a trickster also, so uh, he has no gender, for example, and he rules two signs. He rules actually Gemini and Virgo, the third and the sixth house, guys, and then Kronos, Saturn. Okay, so Saturn, he is the Titan who swallowed his own children to prevent the prophecy that one of them would actually overthrow him. So he rules through fear and absolute control. But anyway, he was overthrown by Jupiter, one of his son, right? So whatever was the prophecy, it came through anyway. Uh, so even if he was, like really trying to control every situation, so this saying, we are not capable to control every situation, and we have to give up control many times. And Saturn right now it's in Aries and Saturn is in Force, so it's very annoyed, weak and annoyed, and also become a little bit aggressive as well. And Aries, you already know, he's the first fighter. He is actually the reason behind everything that is bloody, that is territorial, right? By the way, Kronos actually is not just antique and structure and government, and many government right now is weak. You will see because Saturn is in Aries, and for many government going to actually be taking over and then you going to rise. But Saturn is the general, Mars is the soldier. So right now we can see also Mercury is the contract between them. So a lot of people going to resign as a soldier. They don't want to follow orders. And also you will see a lot of generals, military generals going to resign as well during this transit actually. Um, yes, so that's what's happening during this time. So, hmm, because when we put all the three together, the messenger carrying the weight of ancient law and the urgency of the warrior delivering the statement with the force of verdict and the speed of declaration in the degree of conscious creation. So the message going to become a command, the contract become an ultimatum, and the boundary setting letter becomes a manifesto. That's what's happening right now, guys. All right, so let's see, let's look at the world and what could happen around the world and also, the whole 12 signs as well. All right, so, in geopolitics, what's happened right now? The global political terms, April 20 going to carry signatures of the statement that cannot be taken back, the announcement that changes the terms, the declaration the other party will be actually quoting 6 months from now when the consequences have fully unfolded. So look at the trade war, look at actually how it been reshaping global commerce, and it has been reshaping it since, the tariff announcement last year for Trump, with Trump actually, how it actually sanctions packages and export controls as well. And that's right now also under the Mercury-Saturn-Mars stellium in Aries. It's a new layer of tariff could actually drop right now, and it's not negotiable. Like right now, US actually said Trump they are not going to export anything to France because of they don't allow, and Spain they don't allow them to use their air for attack Iran. So right now the language going to become, because Mercury is language, the spoken words, the written word, the message, the contract, right? It's not going to be diplomatic, actually. It's gonna be very aggressive and combative, right? So we're going to see that, and people going to be very aggressive, and you will see people to fight. It's verbal conflict. Going to be, you're going to see them online, like attack each others as well. And Mercury also rules, the third house, which could be something to do with telecommunication. It could be something to do with your computer, your cars, vehicles, the roads, and also the phones as well. So we will see some kind of issues with phones, and maybe see tanks, what I have seen in Norway, on the roads in many countries. We will see, for example, some kind of regulations, maybe with telecommunication, maybe not telecommunication, with TikTok, for example, or because of Mercury, also freedom of speech, also the speech, they can actually Saturn censor freedom of speech right now. And I have seen many times right now in the news, obviously it's all about Israel. If you say Jesus is king, or if you say you are anti-Zionist, which is like 80% of the world says it right now, if not more, then you are an anti-Semitic, and they're going to censor you. They want to actually put Tucker Carlson in prison. They investigated him. They want to totally ruin him. Guys, what did I say 2 years ago in Summer's video? I said Tucker Carlson is poking the bear, and he has to be careful because somebody actually want to eliminate him. Like, really, his body is in danger by his natal chart. And also I said it for Candice Owen 2 years ago, and that's what's happening. Candice going to have more power. I think they're going to actually attack his husband, her biggest support, to ruin her. But that's what's happening right now with the freedom of speech. Mars is over there with Mercury. Saturn is censoring. We're not allowing you. You can be, and don't forget, Mars is also conjuncting Neptune before, just a few days before. So what does it happening? Neptune is, like anything to do with prison. In prison, people who are actually talking about the truth. By the way, what Israel is doing, which is so disgusting, and Ben Gvir, actually he is not capable to go to many countries right now. Even England doesn't allow him to enter England because of they want to actually kill and murder all the martyrs, or the kidnapped people from Palestine. And it's over 10,000 people. A lot of them are journalists and children. A lot of them are children and mothers and journalists and doctors, okay? And they were celebrating what a disgusting cockroaches are, celebrating of, somebody's death. And, guys, I never thought I'm very passionate, compassionate person, and I'm always protecting the underprivileged. That's me. And I never thought someone could make me actually hate a country or hate people as I hate at this moment Netanyahu, Trump, and Israel. And it's terrible. It's terrible. I'm not hating all Israeli, and obviously it's not about Judaism. And no, I'm not a self-hatred Jew over here. And as I said, I'm a Buddhist anyway, but I just can't imagine, that kind of evil anymore. I mean, there is, and I try to pray to God and chant every day, and like, please help me to relieve that hatred and anger, and just let it go. But it's very hard, guys. It's very hard, and it's very hard not to feel satisfaction when someone who is evil suffers. And that's also was I thought it's not in my blood, in my nature at all. And somehow I do feel satisfaction when Pam Bondi got fired or Christy Gnome. I was like celebrating and dancing like crazy. And well, yeah, it turns us to become not monsters, because I would never be a monster, but celebrate somebody's fall. It was not me, but somehow it is like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy if the evil disappears and they get justice finally. I'm very happy for that. Yes. All right, what else? Yeah. So Mars is also, yeah, we were talking about metals. I'm trying to go back finance. No, no, the roads. I was talking about the roads before my angry statement here. And yeah, so actually, you will see a lot of military on the street, militarized streets all over, everywhere. We still have a lot of election coming in Europe, so you're going to see that as well. People going to protest, obviously. And we might going to have a little bit of iron supplies disruption or steel, or even because Saturn also concrete and also lumber as well, might going to be. We can see, for example, forest on fire because Saturn is trees, and Aries and Mars over there. Yeah, it could be some kind of forest disaster fires coming in. Mm. Unfortunately. And because Saturn, Mars, and in Aries and Neptune is over there, yes, that is definitely a religious war, and it could be something like a global order. That's the new world order. They going to try to push a us, but I don't think so they will be able to, because as Pluto gonna reach about 5 degrees and stay there and not gonna go back anymore to below 5, the power gonna belong from the people. And right now they still try to, manipulate us, but after that they won't be able to. So on the personal level, it could be like bringing some kind of difficult negotiations, right? Because Mercury is negotiation. And, maybe with professionals, doctors, finances, you need to resolve something. And it could be very bureaucratic, it could be very long, and you feel like you need to defend yourself and you have to work harder than before on personal level. Also, as I said, you might going to fire your attorney, your doctor, you might going to resign from military position or government position. You have enough right now. So yes. Saturn anyway want boundaries, and it could be also like you have demanding clients, for example, and you have to set boundaries with them, or you have to make sure people are signing contracts and NDAs right now because you feel like they overwhelming you. So that could be, yes, definitely one of the interpretation over here. But you know, unfortunately, Saturn and Mars and Aries could be some kind of draft and mandatory draft. But people are going to burn the papers, you know, soldiers who, like you see a lot of Israeli youth, very democratic. I would say like 10% of Israelis, amazing, amazing people who are burning there, and they rather to go to prison actually than to serve the IDF. So yes, and so I'm happy about that. And but you can see that actually all over the world, people, because that could be mandatory drafting, they're not gonna go to war. They're gonna say, no, I'm going to another country, I'm moving, I'm not doing this, right? Because obviously, the shadow of Mars, Saturn, and Mercury over here, it's, you know, like the bullies. And who is the bully right now? It's only the USA and Israel. They are the bullies. They threaten the whole entire peace on the world. They threaten 8 billion people, which is so unfair. And you can see what's, I don't know, I mentioned it like 100 times already, guys. You know, I like Whitney Webb, and I'm like, I love John Messmeiser, and also Professor Jeffrey, oh, he's in Princeton, Jeffrey. He's also a Jewish professor, both of them, Messmeiser and Jeffrey also. Okay, I forget his name. But I'm watching them all day long, and they are amazing human beings. And oh my God, so much knowledge, and I'm attracted to knowledge, and that attracted to brain, you know, and information. So if you want to have the right information, look for them, because they are just unbelievable humans. And yeah. What is okay? Here it is. I'm sorry. Actually, Jeffrey Sheks. Okay, I just brought up Jimmy Dore on my phone. So Jeffrey Sheks is the other one. So watch them because they are amazing. And I wanted to say, yes, the shadow is, you know, like it's blackmailing. Saturn, Mars, Mercury is blackmailing. But I would say also there is a lot of hackers coming into our rescue, and we're going to know the Epstein class and who was in, for example. And obviously, we already know a lot, and it's, you know, like we're supposed to prosecute many of them, but obviously, it's not there yet. And you know, the Rothschilds supposed to be gone and done, but they are powerful. And if you ever seen the Larry Fink and his astrology and the Black Rocks, oh my God, it's also, you know. But I believe 2029, May 14th, the birthday of Israel, Israel going to be done. It's not gonna exist anymore. So just stay and be hopeful over there, guys. It's an ethno state, and you know, that's astrology says. It's not my opinion, it's astrology. And I wrote about my Substack, in my Substack newsletter, and I analyzed the whole entire Israel, and I will do more when I'm doing the Iranian war as well with Krasi and with Sama and with Lada, so you will see that, okay? But right now we're going to talk about each individual signs over here, okay, guys? And I'm going to start with Aries rising, Sun and Moon. And actually, you know what? Let me try to change again the background, guys, because I know I did change the background before, and it might going to have also the AI to help me to analyze, to get and find, you know, where do I talk about each individual sign. So yes, so all right, my dear Aries rising. Okay, the stellium is happening in your first house. Okay, so that is the house of face, the body, you know, your entire sense of self. This is the you know, like the way you represent yourself and your company, and they are coming home to you over here. So Mars entering your first house on April 9th is equivalent of your entire nervous system being rebooted. The fatigue, the drift, the woke sense of being slightly off your own frequency is over right now. Your body wakes up in a way that is almost, like incredible. You may not sleep as much. You will not need to because you will have a lot of energy. So the first house rules your physical appearance and the impression you make before you speak, even a single word. So when the stellium is here, something about your presence going to change, literally. You can get a haircut, you can have a new wardrobe, new dressing style, you shift your posture. You're gonna become more energetic, more outspoken as well. You carry a presence when you enter a room, and people going to notice that. Uh, and you might even going to change your name. And also Neptune going to conjunct Mars over here on the 13th, and it is an invitation to let yourself be seen, and actually Neptune going to soften this kind of armor that you always hold up as the Aries over here, and ask you to let your spirituality and your dreams, your creative life live in your body rather than being kept separate from your public identity. So the risk is losing yourself in someone else's vision of who you should be. The gift is becoming more fully, more beautifully, more completely yourself. And Mars Neptune conjunction also could, be bring a little bit of, confusion in your identity as well. You are asking who you are because you are changing. You have a lot more energy. So, of course, you are performing differently right now, and you become a warrior, a spiritual warrior, really awakened. And yes, not just people going to ask who you are, but you're not going to recognize yourself. And because of it's your physical body, and the stellium is activate that as well, like you might going to have to check your iron levels and your inflammation response as well. You can hurt yourself because of you are overdo something, for example, and definitely you're going to speak louder as well, and but definitely it could indicate some kind of inflammation or some kind of injury. Maybe you pull a tendon in your Neptune in your feet, and your ankle could get swollen. So yes, and what else could happen over here? The it's the first house is you become your own authority. You getting back to the driver's seat, guys, and you're not going to let your power out anymore. You going to start conversation. You going to maybe buy a house to create some kind of new contact, and you're gonna be definitely unusual, different, and competitive. And when you talk, people going to believe in you because you're going to be so sure. And your public identity with Saturn being over here could become really like an anchor. So you can become a CEO, or you can actually create your own business at this moment. So you know, the first house activation also could be some kind of aggression turned inward. So be careful with that because it could create some kind of self-sabotaging, self-assertion behavior as well. Impulsive decision could, create some kind of moment with identity crisis, or you want to be free and to run away and break up a marriage, a relationship, or move out from your parents, but you are not ready yet. So just careful with that as well. But Saturn in the first house could create some kind of joint inflammation as well, or teeth issues as well. And financially, because it's the first house, it could bring in some kind of, for example, breakthrough because it's a stellium. So it could be like initiate a shift in your finances is and like, okay, I'm going to recalibrate myself because I know who am I. I'm very active right now. I'm ready to take on to something. I'm ready to start my business to get a new job, to be seen. And yeah, it could be that as well. But you're definitely going to become new and, very, very bold and taking action without any kind of apology and ready to talk. All right, my loves, Taurus rising, sun and moon, it's going to happen in your 12th house. And 12th house is hidden. It is your unconscious, the sacred alone. It is the underprivileged hospitals, orphanages, right? And also addiction as well, hidden accounts, for example. And the stellium going to show up over here. And this is the house, as I said, a retreat, for example, solitude and spiritual life. So might going to go actually to a retreat center. You might going to go to actually go to orphanages and try to actually adopt orphans, for example, or you can also start to have a hidden account in a foreign country, for example, have an account, offshore account as well. But it is also representing you can fight for the underprivileged, you can open a boutique hotel, you can, start a job at, as a prison guard or a hospital CEO or a doctor, right? As well. Um, what else could happen over here? You can become the head nurse in the hospital. You can have a lot of vivid dreams, but it could be also sexual or like combat dreams, like you are fighting and you are in a war constantly as well. Yeah, if you need some peace and quietness, you have to go to a retreat somewhere, maybe plant medicine, something like that. Because Neptune also going to conjunct on the 13th over here, and don't forget the new moon here as well. So that you're gonna be very, very intuitive and very, very vivid, lucid dreaming. You can download actually a whole entire book overnight, and and you write a what is that a movie script overnight. So that could happen as well. Also hidden enemies, 12 house is hidden enemies. And it is like, all right, something is surfacing. The hidden is not hidden anymore. It's gonna become visible. And it's necessary because, there could be some kind of dramatic confrontation. And finally you realize, oh, I thought you were my friend, but actually no way. So it's gonna liberate you. You're gonna get clarified and you are getting rid of people who doesn't who were sabotaging you, and it's gonna become liberating. You can also get rid of some kind of mental illnesses or it could be also like some kind of heavy karmic debts as well. Uh, because 12 was also eternal womb. You can go to hypnotherapies. It could serve you very well during this time. And definitely keep a journal besides your bed because of your dreams going to be very vivid and very specific. And it might even answer some kind of questions what you had actually in your waking state. And it will be a resolution for something. And also, you're going to need some kind of structure as well because Saturn is here. So not to go off the script. But Saturn could be is actually the writer who is like, okay, I downloaded the dreams and right now I have to sit down and doesn't matter if it's is so uncomfortable, but my responsibility is to deliver this message to the public, for example. Yes, or Saturn is, like an authority figure in a retreat center, prison, hospitals, as I said before, so you can become a CEO over there. Yes, but definitely it is very creative house, so you might going to become someone who is behind the scene, just like writing or making jewelries or and you're gonna be very active. You feel like, okay, I have to do a lot of paintings right now because I know my time is coming and I can sell it soon. Yes, and the 12th house is also about carrying a lot what's not yours, that's very karmic. It accumulates over here for a lifetime, for two lifetimes, and right now you are capable to let go. So that could be very positive. All right, guys, we are going right now to Gemini rising sun and moon, and it's going to actually happen in your 11th house. 11th house, anything to do with your collective vision, the future you are building toward to, and your community. And the 11th house in horse sign is also the house of your people, It is not your family, not your romantic partner, not your clients, but your tribe, people who actually has the same values, same visions as yours. And the stellium over here is going to maybe create a tribe for you. Obviously, Saturn is over here, so you might going to get rid of some kind of online tribe, and you don't agree with their values anymore, and you just move away from there. Not necessarily with fights, just like you don't necessarily have to have resentment, but you just move away from there. But definitely, I feel like you're going to have a lot of courage to stand up for a specific belief, or like communities, and willingness actually to take up some kind of leadership position as well. So that could be because Saturn is over there, and you're using your platform. You might going to create a non-profit, for example, as well. So you're gonna be involved in community, in movement, in maybe even in protest as well, guys. So that could be happening as well for many of you over here. And Saturn is asking you to have boundaries, even if you are a leader, you're not allowed, and you can't actually allow them to take over and not to have boundaries. So yes, but Saturn is weak, so you might not going to be able to create that boundaries, or hold it very firmly. The friendship dynamic is changing, and it's shifting profoundly. And why? Because of, there is a lot of conflict coming into friendship, maybe because of dishonesty, or you are being radically honest, and people cannot take the truth. They are not able to handle the truth, right? We were talking about that in previous videos. So yes, 11th house also is the house of luck. You might going to actually maybe even have some kind of lottery winning, but maybe you did that with a friend and you're supposed to get half, but they are holding the tickets and they are not willing to pay you half what you deserve, right? It could be also some kind of stability coming from your career, money, and it could be like your increase your salary somehow as well. Yes, definitely unexpected financial opportunities through networking, through meeting people, going to events, for example, could be there for you. And it's also organization and groups. Maybe you are buying yourself in a country club or whatever, wherever you want to. Or actually, you are getting rid of a country club, because Saturn is in four here, mm, because of, they raise their prices, and the value doesn't mean anymore that much at it, but you don't want to belong from that club anymore. But definitely there could be some kind of humanitarian vision project, especially with Neptune involvement over here, what you're building toward for. And it could impact your legacy, and it could be really beautiful for you. But the deepest teaching of this Aries stellium in your 11th house is about the difference between belonging and alignment. Belonging is the feeling of being expected by a group, and alignment is the experience of sharing a genuine direction with the people around you. So that's actually when you coexist, and that's your community, that's your sense of tribe over here, Geminis. All right. Then we're going to go and we're going to talk about Cancer rising sun and moon, and the stellium arrives in your 10th house, which is public reputation, legacy, and authority, my dear, beautiful Cancer rising sun and moon. And, it is, also as I said, any kind of authority. So attorney or doctor, if you need to choose right now, you'll be able to find the right one. It is also, the house of how history remembers you, which sounds actually really dramatic until you realize it is also simple, because of you building towards some kind of professional career. And when you get retired, you want to be remembered as a compassionate, but also knowledgeable person, perhaps. And Mars over here, when April 9th, when it's going to activate your career, and Mars is a significant force. Mars is the fighter, right? And also the 10th house is really visible in your chart because usually midheaven is here. That is the peak of your chart, the furthest from the private roots, from the fourth house. And Mars here produces ambition that cannot be contained and the initiative that cannot be actually deferred, and a quality of professional visibility that may feel unfamiliar if you have been operating in a quieter mode. You become suddenly undeniably present in your professional field. People notice your name, notice your work, reaches you, and when you enter a room, they're going to see you. So the quality of ambition Mars brings to the 10th house for Cancer rising is worth actually examining carefully, because of Cancer rising often has a complex relationship with public ambition, like Cancer actually rules the fourth house. It's not public. It's the archetype of Kerb, who protects and has soft interior, hot shell, but soft interior. And, the amazing emotional intelligence and relational depth as well. And they are many times very uncomfortable in overly competitive, visible striving. And Mars over here in the 10th house is visible and overly competitive. So, it could actually, yes, it's going to bring recognition, but maybe you are losing peace, for example, and it's going to give you discomfort as well. And Neptune also over here in your 10th house, so it could bring you actually, actually it could blur your public identity and your personal identity as well. And in professional reputation, it could be something like, okay, I'm talking and my talk going to get misinterpreted, and uh, people going to misunderstand me, so I have to go and correct something, because the narrative forming around you could be, very blurry right now in your professional setting. But also it could bring in an amazing job in a hospital, as I said, something in Neptunian field, maybe trading oils, maybe becoming a hospital CEO, a head doctor in a hospital, things like that, or orphanage. And the same Neptune transit also can create risk and also bring a lot of gifts as well, right? Because of the gifts over here, you become, for example, an amazing spiritual practitioner, and you are going to brand yourself. You are a healer, astrologer, a coach, a poet, a mystic. And yes, you are willing to be seen by the public, but also the risk over here, it's like you're not going to be seen at the beginning, who you really are, and then you can get a lot of troll at the beginning, for example. And also, authority dynamic could be an issue over here. Your relationship with bosses, or like authority figures in your professional life could be activated by Saturn and Mars, and it could be like you get a lot of criticism or rejections or censorship, for example, as well. uh, and then also it could be like there are going to be a lot of consequences what you are saying. As I said, Saturn Mercury here, so you will be censored and you're going to take your speech out from content, and that's why it's going to create a blurry structure around you, so you have to be careful with that, especially if you are out in public, because of that could be a little bit of issue over there. And then You can also go and get retired right now because Neptune is over there, which is retirement. And that's also, a lot of you could actually sacrifice your private life for public achievement at this moment. And it could actually create some kind of distance between you and your family members or gap or, some kind of conflict over there. Yes. All right, guys, then we're going to start to go to Leo right now. And Leo, the stellium going to be in your ninth house, which is your higher truth. It's publishing, long journeys, it's mind and philosophy and everything to do with legal matters and with, foreign matters as well. So, yes. So the house of publishing, teaching of long distance travel of the foreign country, whether that means a foreign country or just get your citizenship, passport or green cards, something is arriving to you. But also it could be like first you're going to get censored, first you're going to have some kind of audition, like, okay, we need it's bureaucracy. I need some more papers. So that's the only way you can get your citizenship. But you're gonna fight because Mars is entering your ninth house and it's calls for, a secret argument, willingness, to fight. And also, there is some kind of intellectual force behind over here. You're going to disagree with your guru. Saturn could be the guru over here in the ninth house of Jupiter, which is definitely, wisdom and guru. Uh, it could bring in some kind of political activism. It could bring in some kind of legal matter. And obviously, by end of it, you are most likely to win this, but it's not gonna be easy, right? It's actually some kind of bureaucratic issues over here. And your philosophy is changing as well. Your religion, you might going to become unreligious and just leave all religion behind. And your spiritual framework, you might going to actually burn. Aries is fire, and burn books of spiritual leaders who was in Epstein fire. That's what I did. I have my moon in Leo, and the moment I saw Deepak Chopra and Chomsky, and actually I get really upset with Kennedy also because he's so compromised and he's so weak and doesn't do anything. Mm, I never burned books before, but this time. And somebody asked me, don't you want to recycle or give it away? And I don't. You know why not? Because of then other people going to read those piece of shit, books who actually are pedophiles, and I can't handle that. So yes, I put that on fire. You might going to put them on fire, guys, if you are Leo rising some, sun and moon, and you just move away from people from previous. I wouldn't even see mentors, but authors because it's publishing, also. Uh, but you can start also publish and broadcast and podcast during this time and something to do with teaching or something to do with religion or maybe you're going to publish finally your books that you were written a long time ago. And it is a synodic cycle, guys. So Saturn, Mars, and Mercury, especially with triple conjunction, it happens very rarely in Aries. And it's gonna happen in 2.5, 3 years again. So it's starting off at 3 years of cycles. I forgot to say that by the collective, but yes. So it's starting something over here, a new spiritual understanding for you. Maybe you're going to start a new language study, but it's gonna be a long process for you, and it's not gonna go very fast, even if Mars is in Aries, right? But Saturn is there in four, so at the beginning you will be so enthusiastic, but then later on you're going to have some blockage and hardship. Yes. But what else? It could be like, okay, I want to travel a lot, but I have also a lot of responsibilities, Saturn being there, and maybe I have to take my work when I'm traveling, even for joy. Because I can't leave my work behind. Uh, So yes, the deepest teaching over here, you will see, the difference between faith and certainty. Faith moves actually forward without complete proof, and with full awareness of the risk. When the humility to know that the truth you are living is actually growing. Certainty stops moving, it defends, it excludes, it builds walls around the thing it has decided it's true and calls the walls a temple. So that's what's happening for you, Leo, rising sun and moon. And right now we're going to Virgo. So thanks God, we are halfway through over here. Here is my Virgo rising sun and moon, and it's going to happen in your eighth house. Transformation, shed resources, death, rebirth, and deep interior, right? So, all right, what's happening over here? Mars entering your eighth house on April 9th is an ignition of the transformational process. And for Virgo rising sun and moon, who often actually manages transformation intellectually and analyzing the process of change rather than surrounding it fully, Mars here is going to push past the analysis and into the actual experience. Something needs to die this month, not tragically, it doesn't have to be catastrophe, but with the full acknowledgement that what it is ending, and what is beginning right now and being to born, it needs space. So the ending going to create space over here. The eighth house also rules other people's money and shared resources, joint finances, investment loans, inheritance, financial entanglement that comes with intimate partnership or business collaboration. And it could bring actually a financial situation involving someone else's resources. Maybe you are signing a prenup right now, or someone else's investment, or you getting an inheritance right now at this moment. Yes, and you will need clarity about that, because the terms and agreements might not serve you, especially with a prenup. Especially because Neptune is here and it's not, going to give you clarity. It's very blurry, so you have to hire someone, a professional, Saturn, right, who helps you to read uh, the the small printed letters, right? Because Neptune over here dissolves rather, than, and it's hide, the context as well. So that's why you will need to hire a professional, because you need to be fully aware whenever you sign a contract. But it could be also something to do with your intimacy and with your sexual partner. You might going to go to sex therapy. You might going to just go to hire a shrink, mediation as well. Uh, you might be actually idealizing your partner because Neptune is here, but Saturn is going to give you a wake-up call when it's going to conjunct with Mars and say, hey, like your partner is actually lying to you, or drinking behind, hiddenly, or using drugs or whatever, or some kind of enchantment drugs, and it could create some kind of circulatory issue. So you need to talk about that with your partner. But it's also going to bring some kind of shadow integration. You might going to need psychologist therapy. Your inner child is healing right now because of you going through a powerful, transformation. And maybe it's in therapeutic setup right now. But definitely, you can hire an investigator, perhaps a private detective right now to find who hacked your account at this moment. And you are capable to talk about conversations or topics that was taboo and very uncomfortable. Right now, you are capable to talk about that. And yes, so that's what's happening. And uh, yes, so also investigation. You might going to do a lot of research. Maybe you are also an astrologer, as I am, and you want to do a lot of like investigative astrology, forensic astrology, something about crimes. You're going to be attracted to movies. Neptune is there, which is about drug cartel, or like mafia. Or maybe you're going to be writing about death and going to visit, for example, somebody is in hospice and you see them passing away to see their transition and you write about that after that. So this could be one of the outcome as well. But definitely, you can also your significant other could have some kind of sudden movement with their resources, with their finances, for example. It could be opportunity to invest in stock market right now. Uh, so yes, and the teaching of this actually is um, often processes change through the mind and finding the pattern in it as well. And the eighth house in Aries under Mars says stop mapping and start moving forward right now. All right, guys, Libra rising, sun and moon. I'm going actually to change the picture for you guys, but I need to have a blanket because my children probably put the AC very low and I'm freezing. And I have to drink some water. Just bear with me for 1 second. And until I'm going to cover myself with this blanket. Uh, yes. And I have to put on the side where is the AC coming from. Okay. Let me sit down again, cover myself. All right, Libra rising, sun and moon. It's happening actually in your seventh house, right? And seventh house is anything to do with your marriage, your open enemies, alliances, the mirror of the other, and its partnership, one-on-one relationship, right? So, for example, the stellium is activating the axis energy for you, and it's very, very personal right now because it's me against the we right now for you. So, something to do with like you are the diplomat, the harmonizer. And right now, in at this stellium in the seventh house, it wants to, like, I need a mediator between me and my significant other or for my business partner. Um, because of I somebody is initiating and I don't want them actually to initiate. I want to start to negotiate, but they are not ready to negotiate, right? So it's a tension between you and your significant other, for example. Maybe they want to get married and you are not ready yet. Also it could be like some kind of a verbal conflict with your business partner, with your significant other. It could be some kind of Saturn is over there in areas, maybe intimately. You are not aligned somehow at this moment. Some of you want to have more, like intimacy than the other one is always busy and not necessarily very romantic. It could also be like your business partner becomes like very assertive or demanding or very sexual toward to you and you are like, okay, but we are friends and we just in business and you're not allowed to do that. What do you really want kind of situation? Neptune over here also could be like, you know, actually Neptune over here could be great, but it is conjunct with Mars on April 13th. So, it could be something to do with you dissolve boundaries perhaps and you go into this relationship with your business partner and it's going to screw up your marriage. Or it could be like you are projecting Neptune, it's martyr, and it doesn't want to recognize their own fault and wrong if they are wrong. So it is like, no, it's not my pointing fingers, right? Constantly pointing fingers. And one of my favorite band, Revolution, don't point your fingers at me, don't you know that's you why you're suffering? So you really have to look inside Libras right now. And open enemies, something to do with, all right, it's declared, the war is declared, there is a competition, there is a loss coming up, and I have to win this because of, it could be otherwise really destructive with legal matters, that former agreements, litigation as well, right? and you have to go in war, and you have to have some kind of bureaucratic sheets, like which is going to need to be finalized, but it's a long way to go from now on. And it could also bring in unnecessary crises, as I said, because of romance and some kind of uncomfortable, maybe, attractions toward to someone who you work with in a professional partnership. And maybe you going to get sued because of, the story behind what was that Coldplay concert, the CEO and the receptionist, whatever. So it could be one of that kind of story for you as well. Mm. Or your significant other, you getting them, you find them cheating on you, and out in public, it could happen. Yeah. And what else? The shadow of this in the seventh house. When you don't value yourself, and when you allow actually the partner to take over, and actually you giving out your leadership position, and you allowing it could be actually an abusive partnership as well. Verbally abusive, Mercury is there, but also Saturn physically. So if you are in a relationship, you might want to get out if you are living with a narcissistic person, right? Yes, but the deepest teaching of this Aries stellium in your seventh house is about the difference between a relationship built on genuine meeting and a relationship built on mutual need for a mirror. Yeah, no, yeah, so that's what's happening over here. And don't forget the Sabian symbol also, because of the Indian who actually weaven the blanket, right, to keep someone else warm as well. So there is integrity in this pattern, you want to keep someone else warm as well. All right, Scorpio rising sun and moon. Let me see my beautiful Scorpio rising sun and moon. Here is going to happen in your sixth house of work, health, daily practice, anything to do with service for others. And, it's holistic healings, it's private hospitals, it's military as well. So, yeah. So the stellium, it's very sacred. It's your sacred routines over here as well. And you will honor your body. You start to work out, for example. You are also going to be very busy with every single day, with service for others. And The sixth house also could be like, okay, I going to actually adopt a dog, or you might going to actually put down an animal who can be sick and old, for example, or have a surgery for an animal over here. And the other hand is, your daily work capacity going to be, you're gonna be loaded with a lot of work, and it's gonna be really a lot of disruption in your routines. You're not going to be able to go maybe to the gym because you have to work overtime, and it could be like you're going to become a military leader. You can go actually to sign up to military or marine at this moment. And it could also be something like you are selling impulsively one of your what is that? Rental property, or your renter is over. Maybe you're going to get evicted from your rental property, or you will have to evict someone during this time. Uh, you might also going to need some kind of adjustment, and it could be inflammatory issue with joint inflammation, arthritis as well, something to do with Mercury related, which is like endocrine, like that is usually thyroid issues, Hashimoto grave disease, perhaps behind the scene. And Neptune is there, so at the beginning they don't see that because your thyroid hormones are great yet, but behind the scene you already have a lot of antibodies, and you have to go deeper, and you have to have a second opinion right now. Your work environment could be hostile a little bit. Your coworkers and your employees could be, like warriors and rebels and chaotics a little bit. It could be some kind of verbal conflict with one of your boss, or one of your your coworkers, for example. It could also go to physical fights, so careful with that. And if you are self-employed, it is like, okay, you might going to have a lot of work coming right now, and it is maybe you are self-employed, but you also have an other employment as well. And self-employment could take over actually the other one. And it could be also like you might going to need a biopsy on your feet, or maybe you need restructure your teeth somehow. Maybe a teeth implant could coming as well. Yeah. Careful with dog bites or cat scratching, because you might going to need a tetanus during this time as well. So it could be that. And what else could be? You can get actually fired and hired in a new job as well. And you feel like you will have to defend yourself, or you might have to defend maybe even, a foreigner who works in your workplace but doesn't have necessarily green card or citizenship, and ICE is coming, and then you're going to be the one who is defending them. It could be something your employee is going to use some kind of drug test right now as well. So if you're using anything, careful during this time. All right, and the deepest actually teaching of the Aries stellium over here in your sixth house about the, about the not the ordinary actually, and the Indian at 15 degrees who is waving the blanket. It is like you're going to be patient and you're going to help on someone, maybe on a colleague actually, keep them warm and hidden. As I said, it could be something like, you hide somebody who could be actually taken by ICE, and it is your employee, but somehow you allow them to go home earlier. All right, Sagittarius rising sun and moon, my fellow Sagittarian. It is actually happening in our fifth house, and fifth house is our creativity, children, romance, self-expression, anything to do with joy as well, like real joy as well, your chemistry in partnership. You feel alive, you feel electrified over here, right? And when April 9th Mars coming over here, it activates everything in your fifth house. So maybe if you invested in stock, it could, you can see some kind of increase there. Or maybe you're gonna win the lottery, right? It's also going to ignite your creativity. You're gonna start to create again, to paint again, for example, to write again. Also, you could become the spiritual, a warrior for your children as well. I definitely see myself to go to war all the time for my children. I just do that. I'm just that kind of mother. And yeah, so it is the house of Leo over here. So, careful with your circulation and with your heart, because of that's the house of heart, and Mars could be some kind of, maybe your cholesterol is rising, maybe you're going to get high blood pressure, maybe, you're going to have some kind of heart palpitation. So careful with that. It could be hormonal, obviously, Mercury is there, but anyway. It is just a caution here. And you might want to put out some kind of your work. You can be actually a medium, right? Because Neptune is over here, and you will be more productive, definitely more productive with creativity. And also you're going to spend more time with your children as well, perhaps even fight with your children. And Saturn is there, so you need to restrict your children somehow. But yes, because of you have a stellium over here, the momentum will build faster, as well. You have a lot of joy during this time, and you're going to be inspired, definitely, as well. So, for example, I have Venus over here in Aries, and I do feel I'm more creative, and I want to garden a lot, for example, as well. And you know, inspiration in relationships. So, for example, you can be more, not necessarily romantic, this is not a romantic area, but more sexual and charismatic as well. Or your sexual appetite going to grow as well. But Neptune over here, it's definitely amazing because of, you can write a movie script, you can do jewelries, you can have an agent, a manager right now who is willing to take on to you. Uh, so that's amazing. And yes, with children, you either going to you can have a child. Saturn could be difficulties, but Neptune is miracle. Maybe you had some kind of difficulties before, but you moved, and right now you just get pregnant because relocation allow you to be pregnant. Or it could be like you hire the right infertility doctor, and it will help with conceiving a baby right now and becoming pregnant. Yes, but it could be also if you're doing any kind of gambling, careful because of the risk is too high and too big, and you are delusional. But anyway, Neptune at the beginning with Mars could bring in a lottery winning. So, why not? Maybe you're gonna dream your lottery numbers and win something. You can win actually a car. Mercury is over there. So maybe, or a cruise ship, Neptune, because you entered some kind of game and you win that. Yes, yes, so that is very specific. It could be a lot of joy, but also it could blur it together. Like, Saturn is responsibility and work, hard work, but Neptune is over there and Mars, so you're going to enjoy something, and the work actually is not going to feel like a work because you're really obsessed with it, and that's why. Yes. So Sagittarius rising, this is actually freedom as the primary value, which going to open the road, right, for you guys, and uh, and make you move forward. Um, and this stellium going to offer you something that can feel like it's opposite, and it's actually a completion, the freedom that comes from making something, from choosing a form and feeling it fully, from discovering that the loom does not actually confine the weaver, it gives the weaver's vision somewhere to live, create something real. This is the inspiration for this month. All right, and then we go Capricorn rising, sun and moon. Where is my beautiful Capricorn man's over here? And almost finished, and I can go to do the X with the boys. It's going to be in your fourth house, guys, home family roots, that is your foundation, your private self, your living situation, real estate as well, and ancestry, and your land as well. So the house of home and family, the roots of the origins of the private self that exists beneath the professional reputation, your 10th house. So carefully going to construct and maintain the house of your psychological inheritance, what was given to you by the people and the environment that shaped you before you were old enough to choose what to receive. So Capricorn rising, the fourth house activation is very significant for you because it sits in direct tension with your 10th house, your natural home territory, the house of career, the public authority that your sign rules with such instinctive ease. The Aries stellium is not visiting your professional life right now in this month, it's visiting your private one. And for a rising sign that often finds it more comfortable to lead and lead in organization, it's going to sit in the quiet home. Okay, so it's a meaningful redirection in the homeland, and it could bring in some kind of moves or renovations or something to do with your living space, which is suddenly urgent, right? and you have to sell your business because you get promoted and you have to move, and your house. You might going to actually find out your parents are not your biological parents. It could be also you want to do ancestry, and you go, it's going to actually make you unease when you do the ancestry because you find out something what perhaps you didn't want to know. Uh, so yes, it could be also like you are going to become a patriot and you're going to be a fighter for your homeland, but very, very patriotic as well. And it could be also like your family patterns, changing right now. You're going to be more active in family dynamic. You will be the leader, you will be the initiator. Maybe you have to find some kind of house for your parents. They are old and you have to put them in elderly home, for example, and you're going to be the initiator, not here your siblings, for example. Um, Yes, and it could be also bringing some kind of breakdown. Literally, some of the wall in the house, could actually get destroyed, or maybe the plumber. You need to hire a plumber. Neptune is over there. You need a new bathtub, for example, and that is the renovation over here. Or you move home and you have to create a home office, a Zen pace for yourself. Maybe you're changing your beds or your oven. That's really typical fourth house as well. Uh, and so your home is going to need you more, and you won't be able to focus on your career because of somebody, like maybe one of the parents gets sick. And as I said, you can also put them to a home, and that's why it's going to need you. And you need to make decisions right now. Should I sell the house or rent the house, or rent it out, which is going to give me more return, for example. Um, and it could also bring in an inheritance. An elderly figure could actually do the transition. Fourth house is ending of matters and also funerals. So it could bring in an inheritance for you as well. But definitely your private domestic life going to be more busy, and it's going to bring in some kind of unexpected verbal conflict between you and your family members. For example, you're not going to agree, if you should rent or sell the house, and that it's going to be some kind of conflict over here. But you might going to actually create a tradition or continue the tradition, even if your family doesn't want to some kind of, tradition you want to continue somehow. Yes, definitely a lot of weight on your shoulder, what you have to carry right now. You're going to become the one who needs to make the decisions, the oldest, for example, and it could weigh you down. All right, Aquarius rising sun and moon. Let me see, where is my Aquarius? Or here, here it is, my Aquarius. It's going to happen in your third house. Third house is your vehicle, communication, the local world, your siblings, your neighbors, your relatives, your mind, the way you actually capable to preserve, information. And it is your communication, the way you speak, write, teach, broadcast, podcast. Yes. So over here, when Mars going to enter April 9th, it could activate like your voice. For example, I want to go to do karaoke. I want to be on stage and sing. I gonna become a gifted communicator. Your intellectual range is going to, the capacity, what you understand is going to become very significant. You might going to actually take some kind of supplement, not troponic supplement during this time. You might going to start to volunteer in some kind of neighborhood environment. Like you can become the leader of the HOA or community, or you're going to become the leader in your school. Maybe you are actually the teacher, but you're going to become actually the principal undergrad school, right? So it could be that as well. In an elementary school, you can start to write, or you're going to have more audience podcast right now. It could be like you want to do your website, for example, or redesign your website. Your mental agility going to become, like very good, and you're going to be sharper and faster, even with communication and writing. Maybe you're going to have a PR company, a publishing company, or editing. You're just gonna ghost write right now. And Neptune over here also could bring in some kind of spirituality. If you want to study, create a workshop, it could be some kind of spiritual holistic workshop at this moment, study astrology, study anything to do with, or, even artistic, because the third house also the craftsmanship, and Neptune is arts as well. Maybe you're gonna create jewelry and sell it on Etsy, or go to marketplace at your, neighborhood market and sell over there, or teaching yoga or meditation in neighborhood market, or some for the neighbors, or in community houses somewhere. Definitely, it could bring in some kind of, tension between your neighbors, between your siblings and you, or niece, nephew, uncle, aunt, for example. So you can have some kind of tension and verbal conflict, because the context, someone told to someone, gossiping, Neptune is gossiping, and like, no, I haven't said that, but it's anyway going to bring in some kind of argument. Yes, and you can become a leader in local community. Definitely, I see you to engage more, and you can actually show your skills. People going to count on you because you're going to have an amazing communicative skills, and you see everything in larger vision as well. Short distance traveling could be possible. A lot of short distance traveling. You might going to have to change your car because Saturn is the brake. It could break down, and then you are like, all right, you know what? I had an old car. I'm done. I'm gonna have a sport car. I know a red sport car. Maybe you're gonna buy. Yes, so it could be, but careful with speeding because Saturn is there, and careful with VUI, Neptune, drug influenced by drug or alcohol. So that could be the shadow of the third house over here. And it could be also like you have to be a leader of community, and it's overwhelming because it's you have to put boundaries, and somehow they don't understand boundaries. All right, and my last but not least, my beautiful, amazing, mystical, spiritual Pisces rising sun and moon. I have my Jupiter and sun in Pisces, guys, and the stellium for you guys in the second house. Second house is your self-worth, it's your values, your resources you carry, and your money. Your actually, that is also the money what you make, and gift what you have actually, and you don't know yet. So that is your resources. So you might going to actually ask for maybe salary raise. You might going to move your prices up because you have VIP clients, for example, and you're capable to do that. You're capable to build something right now what's, like going to help you in a long way with your finances, right? Saturn over there is like, okay, let's actually preserve your money over here, even if Saturn is in fall. Let's see your financial life. What are you doing? What are you doing wrong over here? What is your tendencies? Neptune, you cannot just go and spend money all the time and buy the same things over and over again because you keep losing it. It could be also bring back something what was lost, maybe a jewelry, maybe, like you go to an antique store or an attic somewhere and you find some kind of antique beautiful art, and you can sell it for triple. Saturn Neptune also some kind of watch. Maybe you're going to get an inheritance, a watch which worth a lot of money as well. So that could be definitely something like that, or a jewelry, for example, which mean a lot or worth a lot for you. Uh, Yes, so, but Neptune over here could be some kind of classical fog of, like, oh, money is not as it is or as I thought it is. and I need some kind of structure. I need to hire financial astrologer or, like investor somehow, someone who helps me to invest because I don't understand where should I put my 401k. Neptune actually is anything to do with retirement money, what to do with retirement money. So yes, or debts in general as well. And your values are changing as well. You actually, the stellium over here, it's going to give you more self-worth, definitely. You're gonna be on fire. You're going to organize things. You're gonna be very practical, but also because Mercury and Saturn there, but also very bold as well and initiate stuff. You're not going to hold back anymore. And you can sell quickly things and buy, but sometimes it's impulsive, and obviously it is like, oh my God, I paid for this artwork a little bit more than I supposed to. Why I didn't, like uh, like waited for a little bit, could happen with you. But definitely your income could grow during this stellium over here. It's a meaningful period, to move forward and to increase your salary and your sense of value as well. Um, and the relationship between money and spiritual integrity over here, is very important because of, for example, also when you invest, a lot of you not going to invest in stocks, which is like war stocks or military drones or Palantir because of your integrity, and you cannot actually align with anything which is destroying other people. Um, yes, and careful with allergies, skincare allergy, for example. Even if you are doing your nails, you can get some kind of inflammation or breaking your nails or some kind of infection in nails as well, and face allergic reaction right now as well. You might going to have some kind of autoimmune disease, and Saturn over here actually asking you to do intermittent fasting, for example, which could actually solve that kind of inflammation, infection in your body, and you're not going to suffer from that anymore. And what else can happen over here? Yeah, you can have some kind of new skills, some kind of skills, some kind of gift that you didn't know you have before. It could be very Neptunian, but also you might going to go and actually go to do Tai Chi, for example, to tone your body, to have more self-worth. And yeah, um, so what else could happen for you there? Hmm. You might want to eat a little bit. Mars is iron as well. Saturn, like something with Neptunian. Maybe you need more chlorophyll. You need more because you have iron deficiency. You might going to have to do a what is that? A blood test. Yeah, so because of Neptune could make you tired, for example. But other than that, that's what's happening. You Pisces rising sun and moon. All right, my dears, my loves, we finished the 12 signs. We have been through it. And what I want to leave you with before I close this episode and take the information back into your actual life is the image we began, and what runs beneath actually every single one of these readings. Right now, we are talking about the Sabian symbol over here, which is like protecting someone else, protecting or make warm and weaving something together, right? And it's not something with AI, for example. It's something very, very human. It's something, like very creative, but also what is helping others. So that's what I want you to go with right now, and to understand no matter what you do, you were always waving. If you are standing still and don't even move, that's still, a choice, a decision. And right now I want to ask you wave everything consciously, to take back your power and rise above, uh, and and be alive and outspoken and fight for your rights, and like Vlad Bomeri said, get up, stand up for your rights, guys, and don't allow to censorship us, or to take away or freedom of speech. That's what I want to let you go with right now. Thank you so much for listening and being here with me. As I said before, please, help me hype my videos and help me grow. I would really appreciate that, and listen to me. I see you, whoever is there for me all the time and make comments. I see you and I value you. So thank you so much. Bye for now.